NA1SS, NA1SS, NA1SS. It's W6SRJ calling.
W6SRJ, this is NA1SS. I got you loud and clear. How me?
I have you 5x5. Go ahead, Italy, with your first question.
Giulia, how do you become an astronaut? Over.
Buongiorno. It's good to have you guys with us on the ISS. So how do you become an astronaut? Well, I think if you have some curiosity and you're interested in science and math, and you're in good health, pretty athletic, those are all good things to become an astronaut. Over.
Francesco, how can you drink without gravity? Over.
So up here in space, we still have capillary action, so if you had a container that had water in it, it would probably move along the side of it. But to make it easy on us, we put our drinks in a drink bag and then use a straw. And so the capillary action just makes the fluid come up through the straw as you suck in. Over.
Linda, traveling at such high speed, don't you suffer from its effects? Over.
There are some things up here that we have to watch out for, but remember, we're inside the spacecraft for the most part, and there is really no air outside, so the speed is not damaging to us because we're inside, and then secondly, to the outside of the spacecraft so much since there's no air. However, there are things like radiation, vacuum, hot, cold, micrometeorites that the outside of the space station protect us from. Over.
Link, can scientific experiments carried out in space be useful for understanding the mechanism of human disease? Over.
We're hoping that that's true because we're trying out different things up here. For example, being in microgravity makes our bone density decrease quite a bit unless we do something to prevent it. So we're trying to, and it's sort of accelerated, and we're younger, so it's an easier subject maybe to do some testing on. So we're testing out nutrition, different types of food, as well as exercise to maybe decrease the effects of osteoporosis. That's just one example. Over.
Mattia, how do you take care of your personal hygiene in space? Over.
Another good question. Well, luckily there's not a lot of dirt up here, so we don't really get dirty, but we do get sweaty, and just after a while you do definitely want to take a quote-unquote shower, so we put water on a towel and just sort of do like a sponge bath. Washing your hair is a little bit tricky. You have to be slow and not spread the water all over the place because it sticks to your hair, and then I put a towel on top of my head and then just try to soak up the water. But it is a little bit tricky. Brushing your teeth is the same. Water sticks to the bristles on the toothbrush, so that's easy enough. And washing your face is fairly the same. But so the other things are a little tricky, but you get used to them. Over.
Samuele, where do you put your waste? Over.
That's a good question, because we definitely do generate waste, human waste, and also trash. We have vehicles that come up with cargo. We empty that cargo out, and then we put the trash back in the vehicle, and there's a couple of them that burn up in the atmosphere on their way home, so they just burn up all the trash. Over.
Monica, what was your reaction just outside the Earth's atmosphere without gravity? Over.
Well, it's awesome. Being able to fly, sort of like a fish, and swimming, and sort of like a bird flying, all in one as you're flying through the spacecraft is just incredible. And also, being outside doing a spacewalk, you're doing the same thing with just your spacesuit around you. It is just amazing. A little overwhelming. You're a little bit clumsy at first, but you get used to it, and then it becomes second nature. Over.
Michela, what about your relationship with ARISS? Over.
So I get to, not too often, but maybe once or twice a week I get to talk to schools through the ham radio, and it's really cool to actually fly over someplace and talk to you through this ham radio system, which has been on board the spacecraft since its beginning. It's hardened, it's true, it's tried, it's tested, it's our emergency radio, but my relationship with ARISS, working with the school, has been great, and I hope to continue it. Over.
Chiara, what are the risks of exposure to space radiation? Over.
So radiation is all around us. We're still learning a whole lot about it. We carry dosimeters and wear them on us all the time so we can get results when we get home. There's also dosimeters throughout the spacecraft. The spacecraft itself is slightly hardened, so hopefully it protects us. Where we sleep, we also have radiation bricks around us, so hopefully during that time frame, we're getting as little radiation as possible. But we do get an increased amount of radiation compared to Earth up here. Over.
Valentina, where do you keep the necessary water to survive? Over.
Well, we do have a stockpile of water, but we also regenerate water. We collect the condensate, which means all the water in the air and sweat from the air, and turn that back into drinking water, as well as we turn urine back into drinking water. With some of it we can't do because we filter it as much as possible, but most of it it comes right back into us, and so it's a closed system for the most part. Over.
Victoria, how do you know what time it is, considering the different time zones? Over.
Sunrises and sunsets while we're flying around in one 24-hour day, but we keep Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, and we try to keep our clock set at that. And so we have the lights on during the day inside, and we shut the lights off at night, and that enclose ourselves into our sleep station, and that makes it nighttime. Over.
Chiara, how do you get in touch with your relatives? Over.
Phone here that we can use when the antenna is correct is called the Internet Protocol phone, so we can call home, and then on the weekends we have video conferences if we have some free time and the antenna is correct as well. Over.
Alessandra, which is the best moment that you remember of your adventures in space? Over.
Well, this time we ended up going outside and doing an EVA and fixed a box which transmitted a lot of power back into the space station. So when that troublesome box got fixed, I felt really good and felt like we had really added to the space station. So that was probably the biggest rewarding moment for us up here. Over.
Rebecca, have you got an internet connection? Over.
Good question. Sort of. You know, we're traveling fast, and we can't really connect directly to satellites to have internet connection that way. We have to go through the ground, Earth, our mission control, and then use the internet, which goes through satellites. And so we do have it, but it's a little bit slow. It's like, if you remember, the old dial-up. And so it's slow, but we're working on that system to hopefully improve it one day. Over.
Federica, how do you sleep in space? Over.
That's an interesting question, too. It took me almost about a month to get used to it, because remember, you have no bed or pillow, which you really like, just like flopping down on your bed at home. And here you just sort of have to float in your sleeping bag in your sleep station, so you're not bouncing all over the place. But you have to really get used to just letting your neck and your head relax, because you feel like you have to hold them, but you really don't, because we're in microgravity. Over.
Lavinia, when you have nothing to do, what do you do in your free time? Over.
Well, just before this, I had a couple minutes, and I was looking out the window, and that seems typical. And by the way, we were flying over the top of the northern hemisphere, and the northern lights are just incredible. So a lot of times I spend looking outside at the universe and then back at our planet. Over.
Monica, is it difficult to adapt to life on the station, even if you have been prepared before? Over.
I think we're losing you a little bit, but I think we're talking about adaptation to life on the station, even after you've been prepared. It's a little bit difficult to get used to at first, but it happens because you live here, so you have to adapt to microgravity. Over.
Giulia, how did you feel when you went for the first time in space? Over.
Well, when I was on the rocket, the space shuttle, I really couldn't believe we were going. It felt like a roller coaster ride once we got started, and it was very rumbly and loud. Not as rumbly and loud in the Soyuz rocket, but still, as soon as you get to space and your arms start floating and your helmet floats off you, you realize that, gosh, you are in space. And it's just an overwhelming, funny, fun feeling. All of us were laughing and just in a lot of joy, because it's something so different, and it's really exciting. Over.
About 1 minute.
This is Sunita, this is the deputy of the school. We'd like to thank you. The questions now are over. Thank you very much to you and all the astronauts up there. Hope you'll enjoy your stay up there. And if you turn up to Italy, of course, everybody up there is invited to have a coffee with us. This is a very short round of applause for you. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Over.